We're live. Welcome to your Everyday Rich podcast. We're your hosts. I'm Jen.
I'm Jason. AOAO. What's up? Appreciate you joining us. Another episode, Your Everyday Rich. Appreciate you listening to us have living room conversations about kind of major life decisions and topics surrounding that, and stuff that you never ask anyone or talk to with your probably within your own family room, but never have conversations with your friends or family about it.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff that you secretly have conversations, just never really
Share them.
So we're here to share them and explore these topics to help you live your everyday rich. It's kind of crazy that we were preparing for this episode today, and we're looking back. We obviously, so the idea, like when you run podcasts or anything like this, it's like you have topics. You have a topic board and it's ideas, and you kind of just throw shit on the wall and see like, hey, that's a cool topic. Maybe we should expand on it. And we're looking, it was like, holy crap, it's 1 year. It's almost 1 year.
It's almost 1 year.
Because we were recording 44, 43, 45. And then it's like, wait, how many? 52 in a year, right?
52 weeks in a year. And so look, I look back at our Instagram and our episodes. We released our first episode on March the 8th, 2023.
Mm-hmm.
And we've pretty much been doing pretty good. We've been consistently releasing podcast episodes once a week.
Mm-hmm. We missed two.
We missed two. So 50 out of 52 is not bad.
Yeah. I mean, life got in the way, man. It's just, let's be real. So
here we're talking about 1 year of Everyday Rich.
Yeah, and it's so crazy to think about it, right? Because the idea is like,
why did we start in the first place? Right?
Yeah, well, I mean, personally, we want to share our journey because we always ask ourselves things about these kind of life decisions around money, investing, family, relationships, even parenting now, just being parents. And it's just these things that our parents personally never taught us, nor did our friends even bring it up in conversations.
Yeah, and I think for us, when we called this Your Everyday Rich, it's kind of, we've had this picture of how we wanted our lives to be, right? Whether it's today, tomorrow, in 20 plus years. And we started off thinking that, okay, in order for us to do this, we need to have a certain financial literacy background to help us get to where we want to be, right? And I think that's where the idea started, right? It's just helping ourselves learn about different areas of finance, as well as hopefully, the stuff that we learn and we take in and apply, we could share, and someone else could take some tidbit from that and apply it to theirs, right?
Yeah. The whole idea of inspiring and empowering someone to take control of their financial journey, right? Because I mean, this is our show's, the premise of the idea is based on financial literacy. But there's so many aspects and topics around that it's just is not all pure money related, although money is so important. But really provide kind of a perspective from our personal side of what we're going through, so that maybe someone can relate. Because it's like I said, how do you know what to do if you don't know what to ask or don't know who to talk to?
I have no one to talk
or no one to talk to, because
everyone's trying to learn all this stuff on their own and at home.
Money's always been a really taboo topic, right? With any culture, whether you're immigrant roots or not. It's like nobody wants to share about anything for some reason, right? And it's not like we're all not going through. I mean, let's be real.
I think we're all thinking the same thing.
Yeah, money makes the world go round, and it's not like your neighbor. What do you think your neighbor gets up to go to work for every day? Hopes and dreams? No, we're all doing it for something similar, but the idea, we all apply it differently. So, we want to shatter that taboo. We wanted to shatter that taboo, but kind of almost put it out in the world in our own way. Because I mean, the finance world is really boring. It's
Oh
just
yeah.
it's fucking boring, man. It's male, pale, boring lingo, right? And that's where, you know, I think the definition of success is almost like painting a picture where it's like, you know, you have to look like some guy on Wall Street.
Yep.
Which is nonsense.
Yep.
So it really, part of it is I wanted to become a better storyteller as well, because I think sales is a skill that everyone should be able to have. But not like I'm trying to sell you anything, guys. Okay.
But talking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I learned a lot about my own talking. I've noticed I've said, right? You know what I mean? You know, right?
It's true.
It's funny. When you record yourself, you'll notice certain words that you say a lot, and they're not even real words. They're filler words.
Yep.
So I've learned that, oh my God, I keep saying that. Like I need to stop saying that. And I don't realize it until you record yourself and you listen to yourself.
Jen says this a lot at work too. So I'll listen to her when she's working from home, and we're both working from home. She's like, yeah, right.
But I don't record myself. Like when I
know.
at work and I say something, like I don't listen back to myself.
Yeah.
Myself, sorry. But now I do.
Yeah. Yeah. I ramble a lot. So I don't know if you guys listen to us for like whatever, almost 52 episodes, you could probably tell I'm the rambler. Right. So
I talk less, he talks more.
Yeah. And it's not that I can't formulate my thoughts as coherently as Jen can. It's just my style of speaking is a bit more loose, right?
Yeah.
I'm not very like structured, and it's like, hello, welcome to your everyday. Not saying Jen is a robot, but you know what I mean? See, rambling again, more rambling.
You just realize how you communicate.
Yeah.
Right. You kind of understand how you communicate when we're talking to each other and we're listening to each other. It's really interesting, actually.
It is. And it's just seeing these little tiny things when you're editing. You're like, damn.
Why did I say that? Like, why did I add that word? It makes like adds no value to the sentence.
So
but yeah,
I guess part of like why we put, why we're talking about this is that we kind of wanted to share kind of some things that we been able to discover and learn after going through 1 year of this. Right. So that's kind of the why we want to start it. And, by recording pretty much almost 52 episodes, we've learned a lot about ourselves. We learned a lot about the people that we've interviewed, and also about
technology.
Oh, geez. Yes.
Yeah.
So listen, when we first started, like there were a lot of pains.
Technology pains? Are you talking about specifically technology?
So many things about technology pains. And with so much technology to help you, you would think it'd be easy, but it's still fucking hard, man. Like sound quality. So if you go back to the first, I don't know, 30 episodes, maybe 20, the audio was shit. Sometimes we don't even get the audio right now. Like, because listen, we're not paying anyone to do the professional audio, right? So, we got recording problems. We recorded without actually pressing record. We were trying to figure out what platforms to use, which cameras, or we just use your iPhones, which stands, inputs, this
lighting.
Do we argued about putting a plant? You know that plant you see in the background right now? If you're on the YouTube, the snake plant. We argued about this for 2 weeks.
Actually, this background you see right now just got upgraded literally a month ago. So that's 11 month into 12. Month 11 out of 12 is when we upgraded the background.
Yeah, almost 2 months ago.
We were sitting on Costco chairs for about 6 months.
Was it? Wow.
Costco chairs.
Yeah.
Costco chairs. My old nightstand, IKEA nightstand that we had for 10 years of sitting in the basement, was the middle table. And what else? What was it? Minimum viable product was what we were telling ourselves for maybe the first 6-7 months.
MVP. And that's the thing too. Like it's one of those lessons we've learned is just get started, right? Like there's obviously the minimum things you need to do. Like you need to have good sound quality, but you're going to get it wrong the first time. Your setup's going to look like shit. Who cares? Okay. If you look at all the successful podcasters, YouTubers, they started like it was almost like in their car. Like one of the popular guys I followed on finance, his first video was a selfie video of him in his car talking about like financial literacy. And this guy's like, making millions of dollars off of it now.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. So, I mean, that's kind of the thing that we've expected, but also didn't expect to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Like how frequently it did. But,
Yep.
the whole thing that where, before we even started this, we were asking ourselves about like, who else talks about this? How can we share this? How can we encourage others to talk about it? But we had genuine fears and hesitations in starting this.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, when you voice your opinion publicly, there's always a fear that someone will not agree with you, right? Or someone will say, "Oh, what do they know?" kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the genuine fear I had because, like I said, we talk about like finance is a taboo.
So sensitive topic.
Me and you talk about it at home, no problem. But we rarely share it with. We don't share this kind of stuff with probably 90% of the people we know.
Yeah.
Right.
And that was part of the problem that we're saying, why don't we?
Mm-hmm.
Or why don't we encourage these conversations?
Yep.
Right? Because, I mean, if you think about it, no one wants to sound stupid.
Yep.
No one wants to feel inferior if you come around mentioning something. But the whole idea of it's not sounding stupid, it's becoming more informed about it.
Yeah.
Right? So that you feel more confident
Yep.
to speak towards it. Because
yep.
ultimately the idea is that like we want to help other people. But the idea is that if you don't know, how are you ever going to get better?
Mm-hmm.
And this whole thing about not, feeling like you're going to sound stupid.
Yeah.
Is just our own fears.
Yeah. And to be real, like we're not experts. We aren't experts, but we have learned quite a few things that we have applied that we feel has worked for us.
Yep.
Right. And that's value.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we always went into this saying that if we can impact one person's life,
yeah,
it's all worth it. Just one, like changing one person's life.
Yeah.
Being able to like, from listening.
Yep.
Like, isn't that the whole idea? But yeah, like, I mean, remember we're like, who do we invite?
Oh yeah.
Like, are people actually want to come on here? Because they're comparing like how many podcasts out there are there, right? There's
a lot.
So many. And very, very well-established podcasts.
Yeah. We're just one out of how many million?
Yeah.
Who's going to come on? Who's going to listen to us and actually or watch us?
I know. And then the idea is that, remember, we've spent so much energy about like, oh man, we have to make this like high-end production worthy. It's got to be movie quality worthy. And we're thinking about, virality, IG reels and the backgrounds and all that stuff. It's going to look stupid. It's going to look ugly. No, like it's never going to be catchy or whatever. But then we realize like, yeah, when you think of like what Alex Hormozy says, like nobody cares about that shit. If you bring value, all that other stuff will follow. And you're never good at something right off the bat.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Being good is actually just, you were shitty at first, but you just have to do it over and over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
And by repeating that over and over again, you naturally become better.
I'm not going to lie, that background still bothered me for probably 8 months, as you know. I'm going to put it out there. Yes, it doesn't matter, quote unquote, whatever. It still bothered me.
God. Hey, listen, man. When the CEO says something, I guess you gotta just run along with it, right? But yeah, I mean, that's the thing where I think those are real hesitations, and really that applies to your life too. It applies to a lot when you're thinking of doing something new and out of your comfort zone. That fear kind of holds a lot of people back from doing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We've always been big proponents of like whatever you're wanting to do, someone else is thinking about doing the exact same thing. The idea is just go and do it.
Yep.
Right? Like just do it.
If you can't figure it out, go ask somebody, right? If you can't, and even if like you said, like even if you're not touching 10,000 people, 100,000 people, millions of people, if you just make a difference on one person, even on yourself,
yep.
If it makes you a better person, a better speaker, a better writer, a better whatever, like that's already like you've got a win there.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, I said right again. See?
I know. Just say, oh yeah.
It's been 52 weeks and I'm still working on it.
I don't know. That was pretty good, Jen. That was pretty Mel Robbins worthy right there. Yeah, right. Because we're always comparing ourselves to this, like, these different podcasts out there or whatever, and you're just like, oh man, I should put our style like that. But really, ultimately, we've done, the idea is that we'll be recording this for 52, and we're still evolving. Like we're still learning, and figure out our own styles.
Mm-hmm.
So, like.
So some of the lessons learned that you feel that we've encountered over the past year.
Yeah, doing several of these and going through this is that, like, it was a lot fucking harder than we thought. I know than I thought, because I'm like, oh yeah, how to set up a podcast, and you read one page and it's like 5 things, right? Get a mic, get a table or whatever, record, and you're good. And it's like, no, it's a lot of effort. It's a lot of effort, just like anything else, right? Because when you start something new, you don't know anything about it, so there's a huge ramp up period.
Yeah.
But truthfully, like, ChatGPT has made it so much easier. So this whole thing, like, if I correlate AI to what's going on, it's simplified, like, not just idea generation, but helping, summarize certain ideas together and formulate some nice
summaries and
stuff. Yeah. So that, for us, it's like, we've read about it, but we want to take multiple sources and put that together. So, shout out ChatGPT.
I found the beginning, the creative process was really fun. Like creating the podcast cover, creating the intro music and figuring that part out. Like if you go on our YouTube channel, or now I guess now Spotify video has it too, the intro to our Everyday Rich, like that's something we never done before. Like where we created that like intro where it shows our name and then the music, and I thought that was really fun to put together.
Oh my goodness. Shout out to Canva.
Oh my God, yes.
Oh my goodness. This is the best tool ever. I don't know how Photoshop is not, like, Adobe Photoshop's not put out of business. Like, this is the most amazing tool that someone can use for $10 a month. Everything
was created on Canva. Everything you see, anything that's visual that you see on anything from Everyday Rich is from Canva.
Yeah. It's so cool, like, that you have these tools available, right? So, I mean, yeah, no, you're right. The creative process was cool. It was very frustrating as well because, I mean, we're all perfectionists, I think. In a sense, we're just, tweak that, this color, this, I don't know. And it was just like, at one point, just put it out, just get it out, okay? Like, and then we kept constantly tweaking. And obviously, we haven't changed anything for so long, but, we're at a point where now we feel like, we actually are doing a rebranding. Like, we're working on a rebranding in the background because we feel like, like I said, MVP, just get it out there. And we thought, hey, maybe we can think about things bigger than just, obviously the show. It's becomes a bit more. So we're trying to think long term. You're mentioning about the creative process, but also the creative process and topics. Planning it out has helped a lot versus where I think first few, like, we had maybe a few topics, but we actually never made like detailed show notes,
like outlines.
And it was just kind of like off the cuff. And we feel like those were very disorganized in terms of the flow of conversation.
I will admit, like, there are a few episodes within this first year where we had to re-record.
Oh yeah.
And the ones that we had to re-record were ones that we didn't plan out properly, or we literally planned it out 15 minutes before we recorded. And so then the conversation is not organized. We probably rambled more on things that...
No, I rambled more.
We rambled more on things that maybe we shouldn't have rambled on. Like, it wasn't the point of the podcast. It was just like a tidbit versus should have been focusing on other topics within the podcast. But yeah, so kind of lesson learned, knowing how to outline. And I think even between me and you, kind of understanding how we speak and how we can feed off each other, I think is also a lesson learned.
Yeah, absolutely. Even just transitioning, right? The idea of like, how can we build off each other's strengths? Because like, we're not professional podcasters or public speakers.
There's such thing as a professional podcaster.
Yeah, Joe Rogan. Guy gets paid like $100 million.
Would you consider him a professional podcaster?
Yeah. When you get paid money to do it, you're a professional.
Okay.
Yeah. So like, yeah, exactly, right? Just feeding off each other and learning like our own styles and building off that, right? You're mentioning re-recording a few things. And part of that is because we've always believed that if you're going to put something out there, yes, throw it out there, just to get it out there, but you want to maintain high standards too.
Yeah.
And part of that is not because the conversation didn't flow, but we also felt like we realized, the audio was bad.
Yeah.
And if you have an audio podcast and the audio is bad, like it was literally staticky. Like one episode, we had a great episode. It was just staticky. We're like, fuck, we got to record this again.
Oh my God. Yeah, they were some of those.
We've also recorded.
So frustrating.
And the quality of topic. We've also recorded topics and episodes, like full 40 minutes. And we're like, meh.
Didn't like it.
So there's stuff in the vault that you'll never see.
Yeah.
Right?
Mind you, there's some episodes I like better than that. Don't get me wrong.
Yep.
Like there are some episodes that we did release that I did like them, but I felt we could do better.
Yeah.
But, that's part of the learning process, right? Like not every episode is going to be perfect.
Yep.
Right? Like, yeah, there's some of them that's not even worthy of posting or releasing. But yeah, I can probably name a few that I'm not 100% happy with.
Yeah. And posting is one thing too, right? For us, the lesson learned that we felt one a week was realistic.
Oh my God, I can't do any more than one a week.
Yeah, I don't know how these guys do 3, 2 a week.
Well, I think you would have someone editing.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. We edit ourselves. We do everything ourselves. We currently do not have a production team.
Right now, right?
Currently,
and that's the idea, is that the idea is we want to learn what it takes.
Mm-hmm.
Just like in real estate, people are just like, right away they want to get a property manager, which kudos, you should, especially because you don't want to create another job for yourself. But the idea is we want to understand what goes behind it.
Yeah.
So that when we hire someone, you actually know what they're doing.
Yep.
So, and we've discovered a lot about ourselves, so those are some of kind of the lessons, but we also discovered a lot of things about the show, about this whole process. And, the one thing was that getting started was the most important, right? Obviously, just discovering that and, spending time on debating this setup, that setup. Can you imagine if we just kept debating about this plant? We'd never have our first episode up. Because it has to be perfect, but it should be imperfect. Perfect. What's that term?
Imperfectly perfect?
Imperfectly perfect?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I don't know. I have no idea. See? More rant. But
we'll never 100% agree on everything.
And this is the other thing too, is that realizing that not everyone's going to agree with you. Right? We come to realize that when you put something out there publicly, you're always going to get multiple opinions, because if everyone agreed with you, then we'd all be the same.
Especially when it comes to some of the topics that we talk about.
Of course.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's the whole point. Because maybe people don't talk about it because they're afraid of the difference in opinions on those particular topics.
Right. Just like real estate is the best investment vehicle ever. The stock market is the worst investment vehicle. Right there.
You can see both sides of that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could start a debate right there.
Mm-hmm. The other thing we learned is batch recording helps us a lot with our schedules. Having the kids around, school, work, doing 2 to 3 episodes a time just helps from a time management standpoint, and it keeps the flow going, right?
Yeah, I picked that up from another podcast that we listened to. They were mentioning, because I was asking them how do you record, and they're like, well, we batch record.
Yeah,
we try to, so that it gives them opportunity to not have to find time throughout the week.
Yep.
Right. And something that I found out through the technology challenges was that, yes, we started with some cheapo USB stuff, but then after going through these technology problems, I realized that it was actually better to just pay a little bit more money for some of the better quality things. Mm-hmm. Like the mics that we use here, they're not high quality, but they're mid grade. They're not the top end, but the basic stuff we got had so many problems.
Remember the buzzing we used to always get?
Yeah.
You could not figure out why either my mic or your mic would have that low buzz in the background. You remember that?
Yeah, I do. I'm trying not to. It's fucking frustrating.
Jason was ready to literally throw these wires and all these things literally out the window.
I wanted to throw the computer off the window. But the whole point is that once I did some research, and I was like, oh man, I got to drop a few more dollars for something a different technology to help simplify things.
Yeah.
And that was the thing. you paid more money to simplify it because the technology was better.
Mhm.
And once it did that, it was like, oh shit, we could have done this right from the start.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's a hard one because you obviously, when you're minimum viable, we're talking about minimum viable
Yeah.
product too. We don't want to be spending thousands of dollars on equipment, right? So it's a
balance.
It's a balance.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's
You
a balance.
buy with what's in your budget.
Yeah.
Right. So remember, people are always saying, oh, you have to buy these like $1,200 cameras. It's like everyone's walking around with a 4K camera now, which is your iPhone.
We're to let everybody know, we record using our iPhone.
Yeah, this is an iPhone. This is an iPhone 11.
Yeah.
So
you're seeing us on an iPhone 11.
But I mean, just goes to show you how kind of, basic stuff, right?
Yeah, and I think another thing I want to reflect on, like over the past year, is I think our podcast has also evolved.
Mm-hmm.
I think when we first wrote down on our whiteboard our mission, when we first started, right, when we were brainstorming this podcast, we're like, what's our mission statement? Right? What is the point of this podcast? And we were really focused on financial literacy.
Yep.
That was kind of like the key word, financial literacy, which is still the case. We do obviously want to talk about financial literacy, promote it and things like that. But I think over time, we also thought about, well, financial literacy is a part of our everyday rich, but it's not the only thing.
It's just one component.
It's one really important component, but it's one component. So when we started having conversations and brainstorming about topics, it's like, we don't want every single episode to talk about finance, because it's not the only thing that makes up our everyday rich. Things like our kids, our relationships, our relationship with each other, with our families, your friends. There's things that we go through every day. There was one episode where we talked about our son Josh going through rep tryout and the things that we've learned about ourselves and our kids.
Yeah, failing.
Mm-hmm. And that's part of your everyday rich. And that's something we want to share with people, whether they want to hear it or not, whatever. We did it anyways. And that's part of is our part of our everyday rich. And that's why we kind of, as if you guys haven't noticed, our topics have evolved to not just about financial literacy, but to other aspects of our life.
Yeah. And well, the whole point of that, when we created the framework of Your Everyday Rich, was that these are conversations that you're not willing to talk with other people. And money is one of those,
mm-hmm.
but there's other really like sensitive topics or confusing topics as you go through your journey of life, where no one else, other than if they're doing it, they know what they're going through. Mm-hmm. They know what you're going through.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, like you said, it's just one of those things where this whole process is an evolution, right? It's just not like, you maintain one little topic, but because, don't get me wrong, then we just become another finance podcast talking about the same shit over and over again, right? If you want to, just go Google it, right? But we want to talk about things that are important to us and also important to other millennials that are experiencing the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And we know they are because, listen, we've heard it. We've also heard it. And you know what? We've also heard the feedback too. That episode that we mentioned about, the whole failure of kids failing, I actually got a bunch of DMs from our friends and people that we know. They were just like, oh yeah, like, I went through that with my kid, or I'm going through that, or, I don't have kids yet, but I could see how challenging that is, right? Trying to navigate that shit. So, and I think part of it is that, when we started, we felt like we had to copy a certain style of podcast. And just, if I can relate this to investing, right? You won't know what to do until you see someone else do it. Like, how else would you know what to do? Because obviously imitation is the ultimate form of flattery. We always start by copying someone. There's always a baseline of how your style is.
Yeah.
Just like at work. How do you learn something? You learn through a mentor. And that mentor has a specific style. You're going to take on that style, right? It's just kind of how it is. Just like how kids mimic you. They mimic you to become who they are, but then they grow into they evolve into their own style. But, what we discovered is that we shouldn't have started copying someone trying to be another podcast, because their flavor is completely different from the flavor that we're trying to be.
Mhm.
And it just, it becomes obvious, like, oh, you're trying to copy them. But no, we're just trying to take the best parts of what we really like about certain people's stuff. Right?
Yeah, well said.
Yeah. Another thing too, as I want to say, is that being able to have this platform, not just learning about ourselves, but learning about the people that we've been able to interview, right? Or having a couch conversation with. I don't like the word interview. It's ultimately an honor to be able to hear someone's story, but then have them share it to other people and be vulnerable. Because a lot of people are willing to talk about, their failures of starting a business, like, or their failures in an investing strategy,
mm-hmm.
or the struggles they had with, something.
Mm-hmm.
Because the idea is that, it's
someone else is going through the same thing.
Exactly. Someone else going through the same thing, and being able to learn off of that and us apply to our own lives, it's really helpful. So thank you for everyone that has
come on
willingly come on
this past year.
Yeah. And shout out to none of our sponsors, because we didn't have any, but we did promote. Like, that's the thing, I love the fact that it was another platform for us to promote our friends businesses.
Yeah,
right, because it costs nothing to promote your friends.
Yeah, for
sure. It really does. And I know how hard it is to struggle to have see your friends have businesses, and because we don't have our own personal businesses, that we get to learn off of them too. So and I think a few more things in terms of what we've discovered. I know for me personally, Jen, I like your take on this, is that just building confidence in our own voice and our own message.
Yeah.
Right. Saying it like it is. For me, I've always been a straight shooter.
You're much more like that, unfiltered, than I am. I'm obviously much more reserved in that sense. Mm-hmm. So for me, that's how we talked about one of the first topics or items that we talked on this podcast was like the fear, right? The fear of judgment, the fear of, someone not agreeing with what I'm saying. So I think this has helped.
I felt the same. Don't get me wrong. Right? Just because I'm a little bit more unfiltered doesn't mean I don't feel that, right?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, like the idea is here, I think, there's people put out stuff out there and they filter it because they feel like they have to be censored in a way where it's PC, or in a way where they feel like they'll get the most people agreeing with them.
Yeah, conform with society.
Conform, exactly. Well, if I dress a certain way, I act a certain way, if I put out material like this, I'll have, all these people agree with me. But no, if anything, when I see that, I automatically go, man, you're just another one of those people.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And maybe, I don't know, maybe we do feel like into the sea, but the idea here was like, we want to stand up, be our own, right? And, not have to, you have to do your Instagram reels this way. You have to do your podcast like this. You have to have the intro like this. You have to have conversations with this type of editing, or blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. I think his podcast has also helped me, like we said earlier, like speak and get a point across in the right words. For me, I still struggle with that. Like you even notice, like certain times when I speak slow, and that's because I'm processing the words in my brain before I say them out, because it's on a podcast.
Yep.
Right? It's not like I'm having a free conversation with somebody. It's like I'm trying to get a point across, but I want to say the right words so that the audience understands what I'm trying to say. So I'm processing. So the words are coming out like probably 0.75, 0.5 instead of 1.
0.75 speed?
Yeah. So if you listen to me on 1.5 speed on the podcast, it's actually 1, but I'm talking in like 0.75. It's true though. Like that's how I am, right? I'm working on it, but I think this podcast has helped me work on that skill.
And that's a cool thing, right? It's because we use speech every single day. We talk to people every single day. And it's true. Like for me, I want to become more concise in me sharing my ideas with people. Mm-hmm. Just like it's like the whole work on your elevator pitch, right? Because we can all work a better elevator pitch. But you know what? Hey, I'm going to keep rambling. It's just the way it is. So sorry, everyone.
And I gotta just learn how to cut him off.
And that's why it helps so much, right? Because you can kind of just, hey, right? But like, ultimately, I think what we discovered was I'm personally still surprised, and have been surprised of the messages we get and the people that actually connect with us.
Yeah.
Whether it's people that we've never met with, or people that we know, our friends or whatever, that message and say, "Oh shit," Hey,
I listened,
I
to,
listened
this,
to this,
and that was really cool. Like,
yeah,
that was, yeah.
and
I love those messages.
yeah, people tell me like they still listen every week. I'm like, what?
You still listen to us ramble?
You're one of 9 people. Thank you so much. And I'm genuinely like being honest about it. I'm just like, yo, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Right? Because like I said, I mean, put your message out there. Your tribe will find you.
Yeah.
Right? And
stop worrying about trying to get as many followers and listeners and all that kind of stuff and downloads. It's just start spreading a message, and the people who listen will come, and that's it.
Yeah, man. And then I think for me, I just want to leave something for our kids too.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really a legacy thing, but it's just an idea that hopefully when they grow up, they can hear mom and dad talk about these kind of things and take that, because the things that we talk about, they're going to talk about they're going to go through the same challenges.
Yeah, maybe in different contexts. Who knows?
Of course. I mean, they'll have like
different challenges,
Bluetooth and AI chips in their head, and
hey, I have no idea,
walking around with goggles.
Yep.
Virtual goggles. So but
it's Ready Player One. If you haven't read that book,
we're already there, man.
Read the book.
Apple Pro Vision. We're here already, Jen. We're here already. So what's next? 52 episodes. It's been a year.
I think this was one of our goals even when we started the podcast, was to build a community.
Mm-hmm.
What that means to us is, having a group of people that, can share their journeys together, right? And have these open conversations. Because some people are not willing to do that, or maybe not comfortable. And, slowly, hopefully we get people out of that shell to be able to be part of this community.
Yeah. Yeah. And to have that environment where it encourages it. Mm-hmm. It's not judgmental.
Yep.
Right. It's about sharing different people's perspectives so that, we can understand why someone is doing it that way, or why they are doing it another way. Mm-hmm. But if you are looking to build that, there's a place, I don't want to say safe space, but there is a space.
It is a safe space.
Yeah, there's no safe space. It's like, it's not judgy, right? The idea, we're all trying to build each other up, because if you want to call it, I'm just going to use this term loosely, if you want to be rich, isn't it really fun to have other people with you?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So remember, rich, apply that to like whatever you want. But if we can focus on obviously the financial part and help others get there, damn, man, like what else could we ask for? Mm-hmm. Right? So, obviously that's something that we're still trying to build and figure out how to do that with. That makes more sense, right? Yeah. Yeah, and that's kind of cool. Like, ultimately we want to bring people together, right? So that we can kind of have these conversations and really just grow from them, evolve this into something better and potentially bigger.
Yeah.
But first and foremost, better, right? And then who knows who we can get on this particular platform, because ultimately, like, we want to be able to reach people that can connect and relate to us, whether you look like us, whether you don't look like us. But the idea here is that if you can relate to us, then if we can bring some people with bigger platforms and have them share that, man, that whole collaboration at the top and competition at the bottom, that's ultimately what we want to try to go after.
Yeah.
So that we can
community over competition.
Exactly. So
anywho,
yeah,
that's our 1 year. So if you're listening to this, we appreciate you. We appreciate you listening to our podcast, watching our YouTube videos that I just recently posted. Lesson learned. Figure out a process for uploading.
Yeah.
Anywho, yeah, we appreciate you and thank you for joining us for a 1-year anniversary.
Yeah, no, seriously, appreciate it. It's so unreal like that. People will message you and say, "Hey, really felt that episode. I could really relate to it, etc." Or even a little bit like, "Oh, hey, you mentioned something about this investing or whatever. What did you mean?" Or, "Hey, I'm doing that now." I don't want to take any credit like that, but hey, holla at your boy. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Help us rate the show, write a comment.
Give us a 5-star.
Yeah, do what you can. Pay the fee, man. All right. And then hopefully if you listen to it at 1.5 speed, and then it'll sound like 1 with Jen, but you'll be done faster. All right, everyone. Hey, listen to many more episodes, and I hope you guys come along with the journey as long as we are able to keep it out there. We'll see you next time.
See ya. Signing off.
Peace.
Your Everyday Rich podcast is presented solely for general informational, educational, and entertainment purposes. Any such information or other material should not be construed as legal, tax, investment, financial, or other advice. It is not intended as a substitute for the advice of a qualified professional.